I want to get your perspective as someone who is writing about the black experience historically and anthropologically in this country. I want to get your perspective on all of the backlash that happened with 1619. As someone who is also writing.
Oh my God! Well,
and you're a sister, so I need to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, if you are telling white people that from the highways you see, the sugar you put in your coffee, to the wealth that's right in your backyard, that's because of my people. Now, of course, white people are going to be upset about that. Anytime you center black lives and you talk about how near the past is, that makes white people afraid. And that was
what's
the
fear? What are they afraid of, Morgan?
I mean, they're afraid of the truth. They're afraid of not being centered. When your entire existence is seen as the standard, when your existence is seen as what we're always investigating, giving space to, giving complexity to, and all of a sudden we talk about black people, it makes them appear because we are still considered the other. To many white people in this country, we're the outsider, we're the interloper, despite the fact that I can trace my ancestry back more generations than a bunch of white people can. Okay? Like, I'm owed the land probably more than a lot of them are. And I'm just going to say it. And I'm sure many of you can probably attest to that, too, if you go on Ancestry.com. You know what I mean? The thing is that our country, and I hate to say it like this because it sounds speculative and supernatural, but it's almost like we have a curse. We don't want to reckon with the true devastation of slavery and how it influences today. And when we don't do that, we have these cycles that happen. For example, in the book, I talk about when I went to California and I was at the intersection of Florence and Normandy, and I was with an underground rapper who had witnessed the Rodney King riots. And I asked him straight up, I said, do you think something like this is going to happen again? Because as you know, in 65, they had the Watts riots. Less than 30 years later, they had the Rodney King riots. And he said, and I'm going to paraphrase him here, if we don't reckon with what this country has done to black communities, to black people, it will happen again. Literally 2 years to the day of when he said that the George Floyd protest happened. So every time we keep seeing this cycle of black people trying to live autonomously, and it gets curtailed, it gets stamped out, we get murdered, in cold blood. If the state violence, this displacement of bodies, for lack of a better phrase, is because our country doesn't want to reckon with what it has really done to black people. And I'm not just talking about the black on Instagram with the Black Lives Matter and the teachers and the memes. I mean, really. When you think about the fact that we are the descendants of the enslaved, and there have been so many things put in place to annihilate us, we stare at you in the face every single day, and people don't want to reckon with it. It makes them nervous. It makes them afraid of what this country really has to do to make things right.
On that note, mic drop, Morgan Jerkins.